You shouldn't know.
So we have 5, is that a quorum technically in person?
Yes.
Good. Here comes Tiffany. Come on in, Tiffany. We're just about to call the meeting to order. Okay, it's 5:30 p.m. I'm calling today's Library Advisory Board meeting to order. The first order on the agenda is the approval of last month's minutes. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
I move the minutes be. I move the minutes be accepted as read, approved as read.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion has been approved. There's no public comment, so we'll go straight to our new city council liaison, Scott Sassy.
Hi, I'm Scott Sassy, your new council liaison. I was appointed January 10th. And as far as what's going on in the city, we just had our goals review. So we're working on that. And that's about it right now.
So, just curious, why did you want to get on the city council?
Well, I've been coming to council meetings for probably 15 years. I went down when they were in the old police department, city hall type deal. I've been on the Parks and Rec board. I was on transit for 1 week, and then I got elected, and I was on budget committee. And I finally saw so many counselors come and go, come and go. I said, it's time to go to the big boy table, and I'm glad I did.
Good, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So, any questions for Scott?
Can I just ask, how long's your term? Are you filling in a term?
I have to get reelected in November. There's 4 counselors, so this is a big year. We're gonna have mayor and 4 counselors. So it's a big year, big turnaround, could be.
Thank you,
I hope not, but.
thank you.
Any other questions for Scott? So I get to do my report, and I wanted to start off with an apology, because when we started the year last year, I asked everybody not to send out information at the last minute, and I did it. And yes, I was off fluffing around down in San Diego with my sister and her son, and family time is very wonderful. My family just, lives a long ways away. And then I went over to La Quinta to enjoy some sunshine with some friends from Canby, and I was on vacation, but I realized coming back that this is kind of what got me to this point, is that we have a new city manager, we have a new permanent city manager, we have a new permanent library director, we have a new city council liaison, we have a new board member, and I just kind of thought it would be a good time to do a bit of a reset and have everybody talk about where they are, and then also we have, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, so some things will be changing and stuff like that. So that's why I didn't do a written report, and I've just spent the past few days since I've been back kind of going over in my head, like what are the issues that we need to address? And the first one was, is this still a good time to have the meeting? Marissa said that Tuesdays are the only night available, and Luke responded that this does not interfere with the Canby High School's spring break. Amy, does the third Tuesday interfere with your school's spring break?
Mine's the same as.
Oh, okay. Where I grew up, it was the third week of March for everybody, and there was no, so this business of, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, it's like, our granddaughters have 3 different spring breaks. It's like, it's crazy. So, Scott, does this work for you?
Tuesdays are fine.
Tuesdays
Whether
are
you
fine.
wanna go the first, second, third, fourth, yeah, Tuesdays are great.
Okay. Does anybody have any preference on first, second, third, or fourth Tuesday?
The second Tuesday, currently I have another board meeting.
Okay. So it looks like we're sticking with the third Tuesday. And I think what we did last year, Scott, was because the third Tuesday was right before Thanksgiving, we just had one meeting after Thanksgiving, so that was our November, December meeting. So that's probably what we'll stick with this year, but my plan is to keep the March meeting going. So we have canceled it in the past because it interfered with spring break, but, we will keep with the third Tuesday of the month. But I wanted to make sure, I wanted to recheck in with everybody. And Luke did contact me. I didn't hear back from Jennifer, but Luke did contact me. So, the other thing about the, next fiscal year is that, currently our board is full, which is wonderful, reassuring and stuff like that. Now we have to replace Luke, but it sounds like we have one candidate already. And Linda has agreed to stay for a second year. Linda agreed to come on last year and help us out because none of us had more than 2 years of experience on the board, but she's agreed to stay another year. So, just wanted to check in with everybody else to make sure that everybody else is comfortable staying next year. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, and we're all hale and healthy. Great, that is really good to know. I just wanted to check in with everybody on that. And then, we're going to talk about the report to the city council in the discussion, so I'm going to leave that for now. But also, and this is something that has been brought up for a while over the past few years. It was even brought up under Danny. Would it be helpful if somebody from this committee should have a budget committee meetings? You run the budget committee. Give us some feedback. Would that be a good thing to do?
I think, well, as director, she's going to be there anyway. So I don't think that's a big change. We need people on the budget committee. Now that I'm off, I'm still on as a counselor, but we're short 4 positions. And I really think the people as Canby need to be on that budget committee because it is very eye-opening, to say the least. So, yeah, if you know anybody that needs to run or wants to run, that'd be great. It's 3 Thursdays, I believe, in a row in May, and that's it. So the rest of the year is fine. So if you know anybody who put the time in on that, we need 4 people.
3 entire weekends,
No, sorry, it was Thursday usually, and it's, an example, it'd be like the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th.
All day?
No,
Oh, just evening?
usually 2 hours, yeah. We try and curb it to 2 hours. And if it flies through, maybe we can do it in 2 nights, but usually it takes 3.
Scott, I would assume all applicants would have to be city residents, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
That's good information.
Yeah.
So everybody go home and talk to people who have budget experience and things like that.
I would say you don't even need to have budget experience.
you don't.
And you will also learn how much it costs to actually run a city. It's very expensive.
Common sense would
Number one.
would help, yes.
That's good.
You don't need to be a finance person, but you'll be shocked.
Okay, so they don't meet like regularly like we do. Oh,
No. We had a meeting 2 meetings ago. We got our first update. And then when the citizens are involved, when we have our meetings, it's in May. First Thursday, then the next Thursday, and then the next Thursday till we're done. Because it has to be approved by 1st of June.
right, because for the effect of the new fiscal year. Great, that's very helpful information, so everybody be on the lookout for that. So back to the agenda, that was all that I had. We'll discuss the city council report later on. Is there anybody else who has an actual report? I don't think we do.
I have a couple things to share.
Okay, so we have nothing from Luke except for it's written, there's still nothing on LDAC, right, Marissa?
No, they're getting ready to talk about moving to having one meeting a year.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So Marissa, the floor is yours.
Okay. Just a reminder, our new hours start on March 4th. We're shifting those hours a little bit, so that should be really good, getting a lot of good feedback so far. Thursdays, the Canby Police Department Behavioral Health Specialist Brandon is in the library. I think it's like the first and third Thursday he's here, from 10 to 11 a.m. and then the second and fourth it's from 5 to 6 p.m. He will be doing that for the foreseeable future. He's here to connect people to resources, or even if you're just having like a mental health crisis, he will sit and listen. He is not a police officer, so please, if anyone has questions, he's not a police officer, doesn't carry a gun. He's so kind and good at his job. And I think he's been here twice already and we've already had a good turnout. So he'll be around, and then obviously his contact information is at the bottom of the flyer, which we've been posting on social media too. So if anyone needs him beyond that, they can come to the library and we can call, or they can just call directly. He knows, the behavioral health specialist in like Oregon City and Milwaukee and all that good stuff. So he's awesome. Our Canby Reads 2024 event basically started on Valentine's Day. So we have, I don't know how many copies we have left, but we started with Clara in the Sun, 100 copies of it. You can get a copy at the library and a couple other places around town. There will be a discussion in March. And then also if you just don't want a free copy, you can always put one on hold to get it from the library. And then last thing, we have 2 positions open right now. One of them, the librarian, the collection development and volunteer coordinator librarian, who will be taking half of my duties away. Yay! So basically that one already closed, but we're doing the first round of interviews this Friday, second round next week. So hopefully we'll have someone on board by then. And then there's currently an open call for a library assistant 2, our adult programmer. As you know, Terry Jones currently has that job, but she will not be able to continue for a variety of reasons, but it's not library related. So that I can tell you. So we're hiring those 2 positions, and once they're on board, we will be fully staffed. But that's all that's going on. Things are going really well. I feel like I've had a lot of people and a lot of groups like asking how to give money, so we're doing really good.
Great, that's really good information.
Yes.
So, I don't have a written report from the Friends of the Library because I was out of town, I didn't ask for one, but, it's February, it's Black History Month, and since I own the history section, there was a Black History Month display in there. And I gave you information last time about that there will be a big sale in the plaza to kick off the summer reading program. So when Philip kicks that off, the Friends of the Library will have a big sale, there'll be ice cream, all the fun stuff. That's not till June something or the other. It's basically after school is out, that type of thing. I think it's June 15th. And then March is Women's History Month, and there'll be the Black History Month stuff will be taken down, a bunch of women's history stuff will be put up. So it's just, I get to self-advertise. So there was one thing I was thinking about. I know they're having a board meeting tomorrow. So how the change of hours will affect the volunteers. I think it needs to be made clear if people want to come in after 10 o'clock, or if they can't come in at 9, going through the back door and stuff like that. So it's something you need to think about before the meeting tomorrow.
If you guys wanted to still meet at that same time, someone will be here.
But I just think that Patty needs to make clear to the volunteers that there's a process that they run back, ring the doorbell, et cetera, et cetera. That's something you might want to talk about with the Friends at their board meeting tomorrow.
I will do.
Because I think that there's a bunch of people, there's several volunteers who didn't volunteer before COVID and won't know the process.
Okay.
Okay?
I will let him know.
So that's all I have. Are there any questions about the Friends? I'm sorry, were there any questions for Marissa? I should have asked that. No? So the next item is the report to the city council, and I think you saw my notes about that. So Scott, we started that last fall under the direction of Chris Bangs, and a whole lot has changed since then. And I think that honestly, we should scrap what I did and start over again. I think we can keep the part about thank you to the mayor and things like that, but the rest of it, I think we should scrap and start over again, because I think that the even though it's supposed to be for the 2022, 2023 fiscal year, just a lot has changed. I'd rather almost make it like an 18-month report.
Do that because now we have a new city administrator, new liaison, new council, new director. Yeah, so just make it an 18-month, but what time, when do they normally present it?
We normally present it in November, but that's
Okay.
right around
So
the time
let's-
Scott left.
Well, and you might have a new council in November too,
Well,
but it'll be okay.
if we did it before the budget was finalized, because I haven't asked for money, but so make it the 18-month report and do it in
How
like
about October?
October?
Well, before the election. Because if a new council comes in,
What about budget?
budget's in June, so
Yeah.
you should still be okay because they start working on it and then we had our update in January. So you should be okay.
I wanted to make sure that we get more money for the 2024, 2025 fiscal year.
It's up to you. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, here's what's coming up, so,
Yeah,
but it definitely needs to get put in, yes.
yeah, I'm thinking that if we did an 18-month, then,
Yeah,
because it's usually 3 or 4 months after the end of the time period.
Yeah.
And so we did it in April, May timeframe, so,
Do you want me to ask Eileen if do you want to present this at the city council?
yes, that's
meeting?
what we've done. I think it's better to look people in the eye and
Yes.
say,
yes,
these,
especially if you want money.
yes, yeah.
Okay, I will ask her about a date.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because she'll need a couple months to get you on the agenda, yeah.
You know what? April would probably be best because there's gonna be a National Library Proclamation during the National Library Week in April. I'll try to get that on the agenda.
Yes,
This coming April, just.
Yes, this coming April.
so I will, with Linda's assistance, and she lives next door to me, take a stab at. Throw it out, start
That
over.
sounds like punishment.
And we'll get it out to people of just, because basically I want to say, you know, so much has happened. I mean, so much good stuff has happened. And, but we still, I mean, our job is to represent the residents of Canby and the surrounding area to the city council. So, and we have heard a lot about the open hours. And so I do want to make that point, is that we sat here last summer, Scott, and watched people come in after 6 o'clock in the evening, libraries closed. People trying to come in, you know, and it's very discouraging.
It's very discouraging.
Yes.
We had a problem, City Hall closes at 4 o'clock, and I made it stated at our goal thing, that will not happen. 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that, it's hard, you know, I mean, I was the chair of the Friends when, a few years back, when we had all those teen suicides and stuff like that, and the Friends increased their budget by almost 25% to pay for extra teen programs, because I think there was a real commitment in the library to make things available for teenagers. Christy was trying to set up a not-for-profit, and the only free meeting rooms in Canby are in the library, you know, and it's just like, we are a service to the community, I think we all feel very strongly, and that's why we're here, is that we want it to be as service-oriented as possible. And yeah, we want people to have fun too, you know, Philip's done an awesome job with the kids' programs. I'm still very angry that he doesn't let me come to dance parties, he says I'm too big, but, you know, a lot of really good stuff has been happening, and I do think that it behooves us to stand in front of the council and say, we're doing an awesome job, we would just like more hours. That's basically.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Scott, this isn't because we didn't want to do that, we don't have the staff. We've lost 4 staff members
Yeah.
since 2019 and just couldn't make it happen. So that's why we weren't able to extend hours, but we were able to shift them.
Okay,
Well, before you go for that report situation, isn't there something in the ordinance, the CAMI ordinance regarding the library that requires an annual report? Is that part of the,
Yes, but it doesn't necessarily say you have to present it, which is why we were talking about writing a report without presenting it, but now that we're talking about presenting it, that's.
well, and I actually joined, we both joined during COVID, and there wasn't an annual report for a couple of years. There wasn't any annual report done.
yeah, I think we're using, I think the state or whatever, the ordinance allowed a grace situation
Mhm.
for unextended circumstances with just about everything.
Yeah.
But maybe you could clarify what the state requires versus what the city requires as far as a report from a library board, because we're actually not governed, but we're kind of reporting the two.
Yes, we have the city, the county, and the state.
Yeah, three ways, lots of reports, and I know Melissa, you'd be responsible for the state reporting, correct? Or-
Yes,
Okay.
that's always due at the end of October,
Okay, so
and it
that's,
takes a long time to get all that data.
and that's a whole different criteria.
Yes.
Are you gonna check on that, Marissa?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm gonna
Thank
put
you.
that in the notes and highlight it, so I
Thank you.
Okay. Good point, Rick. The teen liaison application procedure.
One thing, I suggested to Luke that we change the date by which applications came in to March 31st. As much as it's already almost March 1st, we're a little slow with that. So I would make that change. I don't know whether you want a formal application, a form for applications. If you do, I will put one together. We will have to make time to interview any of the kids who apply for it. So probably in our April meeting, April or May, so that the students on board.
We might have to schedule something not during the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, just depending on the student's schedule.
sure, sure.
It's, to me, as long as like 3 or 4 people can make it, and some of us are retired and can do it in the daytime.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel that a formal application is necessary as much as the student
No, I
will
was
send a
thinking
letter of
that.
interest.
A name, year in school,
Oh,
contact information, and why I'm applying for this job.
okay.
I wasn't thinking of anything very huge, but I think it would be reassuring to the young people who are applying that they had some kind of a piece of paper that said what they were getting into.
Okay, and you could have like the current schedule, which is we're sticking to the 3rd Tuesday of
Sure,
5:30 to
sure,
6:30.
sure.
So, okay, you want to take that on?
I'll put that
Okay.
together. I will-
Everybody think that's a great idea?
Yes.
I don't think an application process is a terrible idea, it's good for them to practice.
Yeah,
doing
it
things
is.
That's
It's
life
good
skills, and going through an interview type process would not hurt teenagers.
Yeah, I know that, some people get really nervous with, I personally loved, when I was in the work, I loved group interviews. I thought, oh, it's a party, but,
No one's surprised.
no one's surprised. But I think especially for kids, it might be a little bit intimidating to sit out there and let us well, so I
Oh, yeah, no, that was what I had.
Come on, Linda.
Much more something like, visit
Yes,
at home.
I like the conversation.
Go for coffee,
Yes.
soda pop or whatever.
And it says the current teen liaison should work with the high school library, should devise relevant application form, but if we give them something, I think that's better.
Yeah,
think
I do too. Well, the librarian probably feel, I have not met the librarian, but do know somebody in the counseling office. I'll see that that happens.
Yeah, I wonder if we could go over to meet the librarian, that would be interesting.
I'm sure. I don't think it's a secret position.
Okay, so we have an action on that, and we should be able to get that. Why don't you just send it to me and then we'll just send it off to the person. I mean, we're talking the basics here, because that way we can get something to the person.
Yep.
So, Christie, do we have any update on the donation process policy?
Yes, I printed a few out if you'd like to look at. I didn't, and I think I might be missing one by accident, I apologize. I didn't add a whole lot other than sort of strengthen some of the words, the language, instead of encourage folks to reach out to the different entities. I said that they must. And then the last,
I'm sorry, Susan, did you send it in?
I didn't, no.
I thought I got a draft copy. You did.
Are we sure?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Just that, so I think what we discussed last time is that we wanted to strengthen some of the language instead of encouraging something, like that folks reach out to the different entities that accept donations, that they must. And then I added the last line in the first paragraph that in-kind donations are not accepted. And I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with that, because if we are asking folks to utilize either the Friends or the Foundation, it doesn't sound like either of those take in-kind donations. So that would not be an option because the library is not going to take them.
The Friends of Books are in-kind donations.
Correct.
And donation.
Yeah, so that's where I had it, that if it's not something that was listed already, like the different media items, books, etc., that they would not be accepted. Does that sound fair?
That's correct.
I don't think you want to, it's just me. Personally, I don't think you want to cut off donations totally of other things. I mean, sometimes people have things that actually are of value that they want to donate.
But the problem had been that people were donating things and then the library had to figure out how to deal with them.
Yes.
So how, the wording of that is, you don't want to deter people and yet you kind of do.
Well, you want them to understand that the gift becomes the property of the group to which it's donated.
I mean, honestly though, like that stuff is just gonna go in a room and collect dust. Like a lot of people just wanna offload.
Trash. Yeah, we got a lovely bag full of old pieces of knitting today.
We got newspaper clippings from someone, I mean.
I know.
It would be more useful if they did something and got whatever for it and then gave that to the library, but like, I don't know anyone on the foundation or.
Yeah, the problem has been in the past, has been that people come and want to donate things, particularly pieces of art. That's where the problem, I think, comes in.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk, excuse me, last time saying about something about, directing people towards the Kiwanis? If they wanted something to do that?
Yeah.
You could say,
I don't know that I want this policy to actually say,
a specific place.
a specific place. I really think that what we're trying to say is that we don't want your art, without saying we don't want your art, That's, because it puts, they can sell this, they have a nice piece of art, they can sell it and do it, they don't want to deal with the hassle. That's what we get books donated that they belong in people's garbage. They're old, they're smelly, they're mildewy, maybe on them, and it's just like, it's disgusting. They're too lazy to put it in their own garbage, so they come and, dump it off for us. And it's like, I don't have any problem with being, no, you want to make a donation to the library. There's Friends, there's Foundation, they both take money. You deal with the hassle of it. And
One question, just to clarify, I think my recollection of our last discussion, I think Marissa, you brought up the which is a good idea, that we are not a nonprofit, or we're not a 501c or any of these organizations that would accept donations. We're legally, we can't encourage donations directly to the library itself.
Right, and also just like library staff can't do anything. We can't sell stuff and get money and give it back to the library.
That's what
We
I'm trying
cannot
to
do
get
it.
at.
Yeah,
Is there
exactly.
any way we could couch some kind of diplomatic legal statement that would kind of not ruffle people's feathers type of thing? Is there any way you can suggest some wording that would not be so stark, like one sentence like that, that say, whatever legal, not liability, but the purpose of the library is, it doesn't fit the purpose of the library,
Mhm.
basically,
Yeah.
So I have
those donations.
attorneys in the family, and we're seeing one of our friends on Thursday night, and he's an attorney. I'd be happy, if you'd send it to me by email, I'll be happy to ask them, how can we say this
Diplomatic.
legally but diplomatically? You know, I mean, let's get some free legal advice here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just have a question. If I was a citizen and I walked into the library and I wanted to donate $250 check, nobody at the library could take it.
No, we can take checks.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
But
The
again,
books and stuff, I never turn down money.
right. Well, yes, it's really the physical items. Like we had somebody try to give us a globe that was like 20 years old. Like we cannot do anything with that. We don't know.
I don't even think you need a lawyer for that. I think if you just come up with a statement of what we can and can't take, that's what Kiwanis does. They get to a point where here's what we can take or we can't have. Like you need,
Well, we already have that though.
Materials go to the Friends of the Library,
There you
cash
go,
can go to the foundation or the Friends.
I think
But yeah.
that last sentence in the first paragraph, I would have used can instead of will, because it feels stronger to me that in-kind donations not listed above cannot be accepted. I think that's perfectly clear.
Well, we have said, well, donations are not taken at the library itself. We should say, well, donations other than cash are not taken at the library itself by staff. Because somebody can't come up with a check.
It says in-kind.
It's already self-explanatory. It's in kind. In kind is the definition of not cash.
Yeah, I think so too.
I just, as a side note, and I realize maybe this is just because I'm naive, but I didn't know what that meant.
Oh,
And so I'm wondering, like,
yeah, it's legally true.
yeah, maybe the phrase in kind, maybe we should just say, I don't know, donations that are not DVDs, CDs, and magazines, cash or checks cannot be accepted.
That's Shane's valid point.
Or non-cash donations cannot be acceptable.
You've got to make it simple.
And make it simple, make it one sentence. I don't think we have to define words, but just make it a sentence that the general public understands.
I will tell you, most libraries do not accept anything except books, DVDs that are recent and in good condition or cash. Most don't take other things. It's partially because like we had somebody who wanted to donate a bunch of photographs and like we don't have anywhere to put them. You know what I mean? It gets mucky.
And I think we determined that we're not a museum, we're a library. So
Public, community library.
that's the bottom line.
So Marissa, it's a library policy. How do you feel about it?
The way that some of these other libraries said it, let me look. It was very, very clear. It basically says, Many people wish to make donations to the library, whether they be cash, check, books, or other materials. Donations are not taken at the library itself. The library welcomes donations of books, audiobooks, CDs, DVDs for all ages. Make sure items are in good condition. We do not take other materials. And then most other libraries say, like, if you have books to donate instead of items or anything like that, they're just very specific about what they're asking for.
Well, the other thing I don't want to discourage is I don't want to discourage people donating to the Friends for programs at the library. So several years ago, when I was first the chair at the Friends, we got a $5,000 donation to the Friends on the condition that it had to be used to buy children. This might have been before you were here. We had to buy children's books with it and had to write a report back to the foundation that donated this on how we spent the money. So, I mean, $5,000 buys a lot of children's books. We kind of wanted to encourage people to donate to the Friends. And then what the Friends did was, we spent the entire $5,000 on the books, and the Friends paid the shipping costs, so that the donor got the maximum $5,000 worth of books to children. You know, and so, you know, we wanted to,
But again, that's cash they donated,
It is
that's
cash.
not, and that's not the books, although that would also be acceptable.
Okay, so how about if you have a first sentence that just says donations of cash, cash and check may be made to the library itself. And then start over again with the Friends of the library accept manage donations of books, et cetera, et cetera.
The only thing that does get tricky, because if people are donate, like, let's say they write a check to the Canby Public Library, that goes in a donations pot that we don't even see. You would, like, when people wanna donate money, we say, like, write a check to the Friends of the Library, cause we'll see that money.
Yes, okay.
Or if you have cash, like, drop it in the
Okay,
Friends
then
bin.
donations of cash, checks, books, other media materials are not taken to the library itself.
We can take them, you just can't write it out, you can't.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
I understand.
What do you mean if someone donates money?
It never happens, let me just start off by saying that. Like, if, let's say somebody comes in and they buy a Friends of the Library book or pay a fine and it's 80 cents, but, you know, they're gonna give you $1, they'll say donate the rest. We usually take the money or tell them to put it in the Friends box, because if we put it into workflows as a donation, it basically goes to the general.
Yes, we started doing that years and years ago because we were really tight on money. And if the money goes into the Friends budget, it can't be used.
Is that legal?
It's, I don't know like the specifics of it, but it's kind of, it's also like, let me tell you this, so if you damage a book and you come to the library and you pay for that book, the money goes back to the library via the city, but it doesn't go directly to replacing that book.
Yeah. No, that's true. It all goes into a general budget.
Yeah.
So, the way we passed that was to encourage people who wanted to make cash donations to the library to make them to the Friends.
Yes.
Because the Friends is a 501c3 for one thing. They
That money comes
use a donation.
basically almost directly to us for all the programming and whatnot.
Yes, it does. And the Friends don't have any other charity other than the library, so.
That's the best way to see your money go somewhere. Specific and quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does the foundation do then? Like,
So basically, right now, the foundation is only 2 people. There's almost nobody on the board. We're talking about trying to figure out how to get more people on the board. People do donate money to the foundation. It goes in an account, and then we talk about things that we want funded. That relationship between the director and the foundation was severed, honestly, and it is much better now. So they have a good chunk of money right now that they're asking us what we want to get paid for. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more people on the board, and then we're also gonna basically start creating more opportunities for people to donate. But if you do donate money to the foundation, which you certainly can, it does go into an account and then they basically pay for library things that we need. It just, that didn't happen for the past couple of years because the relationship was.
So the foundation is more long-term and strategic, and the
Yes.
Friends is more short-term and immediate.
Yes,
You know,
foundation is
this-
like bigger asks, kind of big projects, yeah, so.
Foundation's a savings account.
Yeah.
Maybe as a library policy, we don't need a policy about what the Friends take or what the foundation takes. All we need is a policy that says the library itself cannot take donations. It's not a 501c3 and it cannot take donations.
I would say something along the lines of, if you want to donate to the Library Friends Foundation.
Yeah. Yes.
Instead of saying, don't do this, say, do this.
Through the Friends of the Library or through the foundation.
I actually like that as the library cannot accept, but if you wish to donate, then here's the resources. That's much, much clearer.
Yeah, I will write that up then.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions or comments on?
Can I go back to a previous, I have a question about the teen liaison. Where is that going to be posted for the public?
We'll have to post it here. And
I can post it on the library website.
I think Luke's gonna make sure there's one posted at the high school.
Another place that you might do some posting, the middle school, those incoming freshmen would be, this would apply to them as well.
That's an idea. Good idea.
Oh, and there are two middle schools, 91 and Baker Prairie.
Good point, Amy, thank you.
Can we look at goals? Goals?
Yes, that's the next thing on the agenda, the library Friends board goals.
Yeah, so I will just briefly talk about this. At the city council goal planning session, what we're basically working on the next couple of months is just trying to get kind of the library's goals and the library advisory board's goals and the foundation goals and the Friends of the Library, all of our goals together, and making sure obviously that we're all supporting each other to get these things done. So I'll just go through the list really quick. Shifting hours, which we are working on. Obviously, a larger goal is to expand hours, so we'll continue talking about that. Transforming our makerspace into a maker lab where Canby youth can learn about STEAM and whatnot, and so far that's going really well. We've had some groups promise some money for us, so that's really exciting. So I basically had to take over the volunteer program when Lizzie left, and so the new incoming librarian will be taking that program over from me because I do not have the time to just nurture it. So basically I will be working with that person to really just re-envision the volunteer program so we can get more people in here, we can get them better trained, and they can also do tasks that library staff really don't need to be doing because we just don't have time. So that's coming around the corner, so just know that. Creating more quality programming, which our programming has been going really well lately, so we're very happy about that. Applying to grants. I'll tell you, I applied to a grant recently through the county to get some resources for job seekers and whatnot. I'll tell you more about that later if we end up getting it. And then also the State Library of Oregon, I'm working on a grant for them. They are basically giving out $5,000 for 19 libraries to hire or have someone come on, a teen volunteer / intern that they have to get their hours completed by the end of August. So anyway, the application is due on March 1st. They will start awarding all the libraries on March 15th. And then basically we'll go through an interview process and whatnot to find the right teen volunteer. And then that money will basically go.
Are you the only person with grant writing experience?
A couple other staff members have a little bit, but a couple of us are actually going to be taking a grant writing course through PCC. They have like really cheap courses, honestly, for continuing education, so we're going to be doing that. I have a lot of experience writing grants, but I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to find more grants to apply to. So working on that, free money. Working on the donation policy, which we're already working on. Creating a new strategic plan. This is super important because our current strategic plan expired at the end of last year, 2023. So library staff and I have already started working on this. We will bring you guys into it once we kind of figure out the whole process that we're going through. But essentially, we want to create kind of a placeholder strategic plan that's about 2 years, and then hopefully we'll be able to get that community survey underway and get more information from that, and then do a longer range strategic plan. But just know that we're hoping to have that done. I'm gonna say hopefully by the end of this fiscal year. We're starting to work on it. I have our current intern. She's a library school intern helping me work on that right now. So that's coming around the corner. And that's one of the reasons why I created this list of goals for you guys. So if there's anything else you want to add to it, just let me know. Updating the library policy manual. Since COVID, like a million things have changed. So each and every library staff member has been going through the policy and making comments. So we'll be presenting you guys a final copy so you can go over it and then give us your own feedback and whatnot. Being fully staffed, which needs more than the staff that we have now, but that's a lofty goal. Getting these supported boards, holes filled. I know library advisory board's good, but we still need the foundation. Fund through engagement, which I've kind of explained at a couple other meetings. Partnering with more outside community groups, institutions, and agencies, which that has actually been going really well lately. And Philip and I are continuing to present at different group meetings and whatnot, like Canby Kiwanis, and I think we're going to be presenting at the Chamber in April. A community bulletin board, still working on that, what that would mean and really how to get that going. Making the library a hangout place again where people can come and do all the good things that they would normally do in a library. And then also, this is very far out, but we are talking about in the Link Directors group setting up a new tax district to get more money for all the libraries. So we're basically in the information gathering stage as far as that goes. And just in case any of you don't know, the tax rate for Clackamas County libraries is the lowest in the Portland metro area. The original tax district was set up in 2008, and so for every $1,000 of property, everyone is paying 39 cents per $1,000. And so if you've heard, all these other library systems going fine-free, their community members are paying for that. They are actually paying for that. Their tax rate is much higher, so in the end, they are actually paying to be fine-free. We have not been able to go fine-free because we already don't have enough money. So basically, some of the directors are starting to research what 45 cents would look like per $1,000, what 50 cents would look like, and so on and so forth. So we don't know what any of this is going to hold right now, but that's something that we're all working on because a lot of things have changed in 2008. All of our costs are going up and staffing levels are going down, and people are expecting us to provide the same level of service with increasing costs and inflation. And the digital materials issue is also kind of a big one right now because nobody wants any less of the physical materials, but they also want more and more of the e-content. So that's been really difficult for our budget. So we're talking about that as well. yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening right now, and there's a lot of, kind of transition related stuff happening. But in general, I think our library is doing pretty good for what we have. We just would like to do more, which means we need more. So those are the goals that I was just working on with some staff. But if you guys have anything else you want to add to the list, we'll add it. Anything else you want to work on or think about, or
I think, as we have time, we need probably to revisit the issue of library boundaries. And in order to do that, ultimately, I think we need to start to find a way to track who is actually using our library. And maybe the city needs to help facilitate some kind of a survey to find out where our citizens, if they use a library, A, B, if they do use a library, what library are they using? So that we start getting a sense of where people are, who we're actually serving. Because I believe that a good deal of area that is actually that Oregon City is actually being compensated for is actually part of Canby. Or, more realistically, ought to be part of Canby. We went down that road almost one time before, but it got killed midstream. And I think, we really have to consider the weirdness of the way this area is configured and how we have little pieces of Wilsonville and little pieces of Oregon City that actually feel very much like Canby. And I don't think the people who live in those areas necessarily think, oh gee, I'm using the wrong library. But we need to be paid for the patrons we serve.
I mean, I can give you data for how many people have the home library for whatever library they have, but people pick home libraries for a bunch of different reasons. I live in West Lynn, but my home library is Canby.
Sure.
That happens everywhere. Some people's home library is West Lynn or Lake Oswego because if your home library is one of those libraries, they have extra resources that you can use.
Yeah, all I'm thinking is that, maybe we could do something as simple as when people come in and to check out books. Because we have no way of tracking what's going out online. But people who actually come in the door, if we actually just had a quick little thing that they could sign that said, this is where I live, or this is a library. I'm using this library and I live on this, in between this street and this street. So we don't even have to have an address. Not now.
Well, I would actually, I look at two different things. I do think we need a survey of the Canby residents because the last time a survey was done, which was several years ago, was only the library users. We need a survey of everybody who lives here. And of course, surveys cost money. Library Advisory Board doesn't have any money. But we need a survey of the entire area to find out what people's needs are, not just the library users. And secondly, there needs to be common sense boundaries that make sense to everybody. Right now, because we have people who are on this library advisory, who used to be in the wrong library advisory board, who live in the area where their taxes go to Oregon City, and they get really angry about it because they believe they live in Canby. There needs to be something where everybody perceives this makes sense. There needs to be some kind of a common sense solution. So how long it takes, I don't know. And I'm not even about will we lose, will we gain. I'm just saying there has to be something that makes sense to people. And right now it doesn't make sense. So I don't know the solution for that. I just would like to see something that people go, yeah, I might not like it, but it makes sense. That's my goal for boundary issues.
I will say the one thing that people can do to help is to get library cards and to make Canby their home library. But right now, our numbers are not showing that there's like this wide group of people that are paying taxes over here, but they're using our library. Our numbers are just not doing that. And then I already told this to Lois, but that's part of what LDAC's role has been, is to figure out those boundary lines. And most, if not all, of the city managers and library directors are tabling that conversation, because it's really just moving a finite amount of resources around, and it's just gonna cause a lot of fighting, when in reality, we all need more money.
It would be nice to get some agreement as to what is the common sense solution for boundaries. To look at that and not look at how this impacts me or how this impacts or Wilsonville. What is the common sense solution for defining boundaries? And so that everybody can go, okay, that makes sense, and then figure out where that actually falls, you know. I could deal with loss of some of our tax base if it made sense, but right now it doesn't make sense. Because the schools out there, those kids go to Canby schools or the Canby school district. And so I don't know what the solution is. I just know that there are still, it's a hot issue. You're gonna find this, I know people on the Friends board feel very, very strongly about this too. So I live in Canby, I'm not, but it would be nice to have something that made sense. I know.
Can
Oh,
I,
I agree.
this may be completely naive, I don't know, but why don't we use school district boundaries?
I have like 5 binders of history in my office on LDAP and what they've been doing. And when Irene was here, the conversation, it was just a lot of fighting. Nobody could agree on anything. It didn't get anywhere. And so I don't like, I as much as I would like to go read all of those binders to get all of the history of why things were set up the way they were, I don't really honestly know or understand it. I'm not sure anybody does. But the one thing that I have been trying to explain to people is that if you put one boundary up for debate, they're all going to be up for debate. And so part of the reason why this conversation has kind of been tabled or just pushed back or ignored, I don't know, whatever you want to say, is because, like, essentially for Canby, I'll use Canby as an example. If we have this one line that's up for debate that's between us and Malala, it's not just that line that we're talking about. We're also going to be talking about the lines between us and Oregon City and Wilsonville. And in the end, we could have a net gain, a net loss, or absolutely nothing. And in the end, if any of those things happen, all of the libraries, all of the city administrators, all the cities, all the directors, like all it has ended up in is fighting. That's it. It's why our last director didn't really want to push it, although there were some other reasons. And it's why it's a conversation, not something that I can focus on right now. I completely agree with you. It doesn't make sense the way it is, but I think if our numbers were higher, like we had more people with library cards whose home library was Canby, we'd be able to show that need, but that's not what's happening.
I just think that it should be part of, if we're looking at going after more money for libraries, that have a discussion about not the boundary between Canby and Oregon City or Canby and Malala, coming up with a high-level solution. Like there has to be a premise, an underlying foundation for we're going to do it this way because this makes sense, and then apply it. And I think the problem with what happened several years ago was like big fight was between Canby and Oregon City. It's like, and you know, I don't care about that. What I want is a solution that makes sense. And then, and if we're looking at changes, to me that would be the time to do it. Is incorporate it at, you know, but it needs to be put out there. It's not kind of like not these hodgepodge, but let's come up with a solution that, and it's not about the boundary between Canby and Oregon City. It's about an underlying. Actually, it's more like an overlay. We need to come up with a broad-based. This is the methodology we're going to use, and then apply that. So that would make a whole lot more sense to me, rather than just getting into a pissing match, pardon my French, with Oregon City.
Well, Canby's grown so fast. That makes, the way boundaries were originally set look ludicrous, I know. Yeah, I agree with you.
Canby is growing fast, but we're not getting, like, we have a lot of people used in the library, but our numbers are not going up as far as like people getting library.
Well, this is why I would like to get more information. This is where,
Maybe we need to sell library cards.
this is where I would like to see, I love these library goals and things like that, but we need to get down to, so what do we need to do to get the word out to more people about, you know, a lot of people vote in Canby. So we don't have a welcome wagon here where we give them the brochure on what the library does, but that, we need to get that information out to people, you know, somehow, some way.
That's a never-ending issue.
I know.
Communication. I don't
Yes,
care what board you're on. You know, the Herald, has anybody read the Herald lately?
I subscribe to the Herald. You were here in the last meeting where I actually brought the Herald to say, they actually really talk about, but it's available in the library if you want to subscribe to it. The second page actually has a lot of what's going on.
I mean, it's more Colton, Woodburn,
Yes,
Omaha,
yes.
and then you never see Canby sports in it anymore.
No,
No.
I don't think the second page would talk about what's going
Little
on.
newspapers are,
But for those of us on Facebook, I mean, I get the library, the Friends of the Library, and all that stuff, and I share it.
Do you have brochures at the chamber where people can go in there and they can give a brochure out for the library?
What was his name, the last guy who was so good at the chamber?
Mallory.
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle.
Kyle, he did a bunch of stuff where they got, and we did provide brochures in the Friends and the library and then Copacat and all that stuff. And Belinda has not restarted that yet. So, but that's a good idea, is get brochures to the,
we also, you know, when summer comes, friends can put a table out at Saturday market.
We used to do that.
yes, because I volunteered.
Yeah,
I did.
it was super fun.
It was
when we
super
had
fun.
Other staff members. It was really fun.
Oh, Tiffany.
I volunteered for that duty.
I want to do that. How much fun it is overestimated.
We actually have a table and a tent that's in the Friends room that
Yes, yes.
we use. We have a big link library card that people just think is really funny. The whole, it's huge.
So I'm gonna wrap this up, we're kind of past time, and, anybody have any further comments before we wrap up?
I have a question about your liaison. It's just, and I know we're not supposed to throw ideas out there, we're just
Yes, you
supposed to
can.
listen, but, so your liaison, why don't you work through the high school library and let them apply there and have her direct them to you? And I love the application. These kids have got it way too soft. All my kids go to college. If they don't have a good application, they get knocked way down on the list, so it's a good starting point. But work with her, have her take the applicants, and then she can send them to you.
Were we gonna do that?
That's-
I like-
Library was
that is
I like
free.
a chain of command
Yeah.
type deal. I think that, plus they see the kids all the time.
Yeah, no, it is gonna be a school library.
Okay.
That wasn't,
And yes, you are welcome to make comments, suggestions, trust me,
Yes, you are.
Chris Baines always did.
Yeah, I figured,
He always had opinions about what we were
Yeah.
doing.
I figured you would.
Any other comments, questions before we will be meeting in March, because it does impact with spring break, so people. And I've already done my flitting off to the sunshine, and now I have to stay home for a long period of time, so. If that's all, I
I
will
mean, we adjourn.
what's the second?
I second.
Everybody in favor? Aye. It's all back here now.